Have you ever wondered what would happen if you gave a Roman legionary an AK-47? It sounds like the plot of a crazy sci-fi movie, but let's actually break it down. What if the Roman Empire, at the peak of its power, suddenly got its hands on the most iconic assault rifle in history? First, let's set the stage. We're talking about the Roman Empire around the 2nd century AD, under emperors like Trajan or Hadrian. This was Rome at its absolute zenith, stretching from Britain to Mesopotamia. Their army was the most disciplined, organized, and effective fighting force of its time. The legionaries were professional soldiers, masters of siege warfare, engineering, and close-quarters combat with their gladius and scutum shield. Now, let's drop a few million AK-47s and a seemingly endless supply of 7.62mm ammunition into their laps. The immediate impact would be nothing short of apocalyptic for anyone who stood in their way. Imagine a barbarian horde, say the Goths or the Franks, charging across an open field. They're screaming, brandishing axes and spears. In our timeline, this would lead to a brutal, grinding battle of shield walls and sword thrusts. But in this new timeline, the Roman front line wouldn't even break a sweat. On the command of their centurion, a volley of automatic fire would rip through the charging horde. The psychological impact alone would be devastating. The noise, the muzzle flashes, the sight of their comrades falling in droves without a Roman sword ever being drawn. It would shatter their morale instantly. Any enemy force would be annihilated before they got within 100 yards of the Roman line. Conquests that originally took years, like Caesar's campaign in Gaul, could now be accomplished in a matter of weeks. The full annexation of Germania, a region that Rome famously failed to conquer, would become a trivial affair. The forests that gave the Germanic tribes their advantage would mean little against a weapon that can tear through trees and fortifications. The Parthian Empire in the east, with its famed horse archers, would also face a serious problem. Their hit-and-run tactics would be far less effective against disciplined soldiers who could project lethal force hundreds of meters away. Rome's borders would expand at a breathtaking pace. Britannia would be fully subdued. The Sahara would be the only thing stopping them from marching down Africa. They might even reach India or China. But here's where things get complicated. The AK-47 isn't just a weapon, it's a piece of technology. And introducing such an advanced piece of tech into an ancient society would have massive, unforeseen consequences. First, logistics. An army marches on its stomach, but a refinely equipped army marches on its ammunition. A single legion of about 5,000 men could burn through millions of rounds in a single major battle. How would the Romans supply this? They don't have modern supply trucks or cargo planes. They're still using mules, carts, and ships. The logistical strain of producing and transporting millions of bullets and spare parts across a vast empire would be immense. They would need to reverse engineer the AK-47. Roman engineers were brilliant. No doubt they gave us aqueducts, concrete, and complex war machines. But could they replicate a modern assault rifle? This isn't something you can just figure out overnight. It would spark an industrial revolution, but centuries ahead of its time. Factories would need to be built. But these wouldn't be the water-powered mills the Romans were used to. They'd need something more. Perhaps they would be forced to innovate and develop steam power much earlier. This new industrial base would need resources: iron, copper, lead, coal. Rome would become an industrial military complex on a scale the ancient world had never seen. Cities would grow around these new factories, leading to massive social changes. A new class of industrial workers would emerge, fundamentally altering Roman society's structure of patricians, plebeians, and slaves. The political landscape would also be completely transformed. In the original Roman Republic and early empire, military power was tied to a general's ability to raise and lead legions. With AK-47s, power would become concentrated in the hands of whoever controls the factories and the ammunition supply lines. The emperor's authority would become absolute. Any rebellious governor or ambitious general could be crushed with ease by a small, loyal force armed with superior firepower. The Praetorian Guard, already a powerful political player, would become the ultimate kingmakers. Their loyalty would be the single most important factor in Roman politics. Civil wars, a common feature of Roman history, would become far more destructive. Imagine the year of the 4 emperors. But instead of legions clashing with swords and spears, you have factions armed with assault rifles fighting street to street in Rome itself. The level of destruction would be catastrophic. The very fabric of the empire could be torn apart from within. And what about the long-term effects on Roman culture? The traditional Roman virtues of discipline, courage, and close combat, and martial honor would be challenged when a single soldier can kill dozens from a distance. The legionary, once a highly trained professional, might become more of a simple rifleman. The focus would shift from the collective discipline of the shield wall to the individual firepower of the rifle. This technological leap could also lead to stagnation. Why develop new social or political solutions when any problem, internal or external, can be solved with overwhelming force? This reliance on a single, powerful technology could make them brittle. What if the ammunition finally runs out? What if a plague devastates the industrial centers? The collapse, when it comes, might be even more sudden and complete than the one we know from history.